All right, so welcome to October's Conscious Conversation. The topic is meant to be self-sabotage, and we definitely will talk about that. But I want to kind of talk about it in, a more positive light because I think sometimes we all can be so hard on ourselves, and it's almost like another thing that we use to berate ourselves with. But before I even get into that, I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about, again, if you saw my email, I'm kind of going through a bit of a challenging time right now, which I'm always really open about my life. I'm not completely ready to open up about this yet, but I will at some point when it's past and and things work out, which I know they will. But sometimes I put a lot of pressure on myself as a coach, thinking that I have to be perfect, right? And that I have to have it all together. And that really is not true, right? I mean, I'm just learning as I go. We all are, right? Life is always going to give us challenges. And I truly believe that life gives us these challenges to help us grow and help us expand into all that we are. And so to pretend like my life is just like this amazing, you know, thing where I'm positive all the time and I'm happy all the time is just completely unrealistic. And that's not me, right? I have challenges, I have hard times, I struggle. And what's funny is that recently, I was talking to my mom and I told her that I was stressed about this. And she was like, "You're not supposed to be stressed. You tell people not to stress." And I was like, "Mom," that made me feel worse, right? Because I was like, of course, I have the tools to deal with things, but again, we're human. And so I just like to be real with you all. Um, cool. So I truly believe that it is our light that we're more fearful of rather than our dark. Has anyone ever read the quote by Marianne Williamson called Our Greatest Fear, Our Deepest Fear? Yeah, Chris, yeah, cool. I love that poem so much, and I truly believe that. And now just kind of working in this role as a coach, I see that in people that we really are. People are more afraid of their magnificence and of shining their light than they are of the dark. So sometimes it's easier to stay in these patterns of self-sabotage or whatever you want to call it, because it's easier to play small. And and so it kind of leads us to this conversation about, a lot of times we make these promises to ourselves, right? We want to do things and then we don't do them. And I believe it kind of ends up being a little bit of this vicious cycle because it just adds this other it's just more resistance that we add on to ourselves, oh, I didn't do that again, right? Or oh, I have no willpower or in saying things like that, where that resistance kind of then piles up. And it's just, again, it's just another way where we kind of dim our light and hide ourselves. I was thinking about even these talks that I decided that I wanted to do. I had had this idea that I wanted to do these monthly webinars and just, again, speak from the heart and talk about topics that were exciting to me. And I had this idea for a while, and it took me a long time to implement it because I was afraid, right? And I didn't know that I was afraid of it. I think that I kind of uncovered that after. I just thought "Oh, I don't have time right now. I don't have time right now." And oftentimes when we have those excuses, that there is an underlying fear um, underneath that. And so it took a little while to kind of uncover that there was a fear in that. And I think that it made me nervous to commit to showing up monthly. And sometimes I think in my mind "Oh, who's gonna come? Does anybody really care about this?" But at the end of the day, I was like, I'm doing this for me because I think it's fun and because I love this stuff, right? I love talking about this stuff. I love helping people. And so it's not oftentimes I think we think that we're doing things for other people, but I would encourage you to always just think about yourself first. Like, what would be good for you, right? What's fun for you to do? What do you want to do? How do you want to operate in this world? Um, but I think that that was a way where I was, it was an inspired idea, and I think that I was, the word sabotage, I don't I don't necessarily like, but I think I was maybe upper limiting myself, right? I was kind of like capping myself with, oh, like who am I to do something like that, right? And I was just playing small. So a really great way to overcome a lot of this is just through awareness, right? Being aware and being present in the moment and really understanding yourself on a deep, deep level. Oftentimes, when we're not doing something that we committed to do, even if it's just, working out or eating healthier or whatever it may be, oftentimes we don't do it because there's underlying maybe some negative self-talk in there, right? There could be some just I call them like unproductive thoughts in your mind, right? Again, maybe you have this unconscious image of yourself as somebody who doesn't work out, and so then that's what your behavior is going to reflect. I've talked about this before. I know all of you have probably heard me say this, but 95% of all of our behavior and perceptions is subconscious. 95%. That is so much, right? And so we're doing things on autopilot. So, first of all, if we are not doing something that we told ourselves that we wanted to do, it's one because we're not programmed to do it. And so it's really difficult to change a behavior on action alone without changing the mind. So I encourage you to just be lighter with yourself about these things, right? And realize that you have to have a program in your mind in order to do it. So say it's getting up every day at 5 a.m. to go to the gym. If that's not in your program, and if you don't see yourself as an athlete and somebody that works out, you're not going to do it. So you want to give yourself some grace with this and realize that it takes time to change these subconscious programs in your mind. Now, on the flip side to that, it all comes down to the present moment. Right. So when you're in that moment of making a decision on, okay, do I get up or do I hit snooze? Do I eat this piece of cake? Do I, work on this project I've been wanting to work on or whatever it is? It's about coming into the present moment. I say take 3 conscious breaths, go from your head to your heart, and then just ask yourself, who do I want to be in this moment? Right? Who do I want to be in this moment? That's the most important question you can ask yourself on a moment to moment basis. I encourage you all to like make this your new mantra, right? Who do I want to be? Because when you start thinking like that, well, then you can make a decision from that place of like, oh, I want to be the person that gets up at 5 in the morning. I want to be the person that, um, you know, creates a webinar every month. I want to be the person who gets projects done or whatever it is, right? And in that moment, you can make a decision. And that is how true change starts to happen is in the moment. And the more you start to do that, the more you will be programmed to do that, right? You're going to embed that new image of who you want to be into your subconscious mind. And then soon that action will be natural and it will be a habit. Has anyone ever read the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks? I highly recommend it. I love it. It's one of my favorites. I talk about a lot of books. I have a lot of favorites, but um, so his whole thing is that we have something called upper limits, right? And again, this goes back to our self-image, how we see ourselves. And obviously, several of you have worked with me. I talk a lot about self-image and about how we have a subconscious self-image that dictates a lot of our behavior. But Gay Hendricks talks about how we have these limits. Yes, the big leap. Um, we have these limits that we put on ourselves with typically the three big ones he says is love, abundance, and success. We have caps on how much love we receive, how much success we can receive, and how much abundance we receive. And oftentimes when we have something that comes in, right? Say we get like a new client and a big windfall or something. Um, Oftentimes we subconsciously will like immediately go and like spend all that money, or sometimes an unexpected expense comes up, but he argues that you even created that subconsciously through your belief that you don't deserve that abundance. And so this comes down to this worthiness that I talked about. I truly believe that the core wound of all of humanity is worthiness. We don't believe that we're worthy. But if we think back to when we were babies, right? We were worthy of all the love, all the attention, all the food, all the nourishment that we needed to survive and thrive without doing a thing, right? We didn't have to lift a finger. But somewhere during our life, we adopted this belief that we had to earn, right? And that maybe we weren't worthy. And so I really think that if we fix this core wound about our worthiness, we're not going to have these upper limits. We're not going to sabotage ourselves as much, right? Because we believe that we're worthy of it all. So the affirmation that he uses in the book, that I love, I had this on the background on my phone for a really long time, was I expand in love, abundance, and success every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. Right? I expand in love, abundance, and success every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. So I want you to start noticing the ways in which you upper limit yourself. So the things that are, he calls them upper limiting behaviors, are things like worrying, right? When you start worrying, it takes you out of the present moment, and especially about worrying about something that you can't control, right? It actually is putting a dampener on your joy and on that moment. So catch yourself if you're in those moments where maybe you're worrying about something that you can't control. Another way too is like picking an argument with somebody. Right? Again, this goes back to that love, right? We might have limits on how much love we can accept from somebody. And so, if you have a romantic partner or even just a close friend, if things are going really well, sometimes all of a sudden you have a big fight or something. And it's maybe not that you picked the fight, but you do maybe get mad about something, right? And so again, just notice these things in the moment and come back into the present moment and take 3 conscious breaths and go from your head down to your heart and say, who do I want to be in this moment? Right? And be able to receive what is happening in that moment. Because again, like I think sometimes we're blocking our receptivity because we're more afraid of our light than we are of our darkness. So, everyone with me? Yes? Cool. I hope this is making sense. I want everybody to start to really, again, thinking about when they were a baby. And actually, I'm going to lead you all in a meditation a little bit. To think about when you were a baby, right? And to think about how like you received everything that you needed. Even like you could think about from the mother's womb, you received everything that you needed to survive, right? And to thrive. Now I could hear some some resistance in that being like, oh, but maybe some people had a bad childhood, but you're all here, right? And you're all living really great lives. So you did thrive, right? Even if maybe you didn't get everything that, as you got older, maybe you had a difficult parent or something. But still you were able to attract everything that you needed. So I want you to think about that, right? And I want you to really feel into that worthiness of receiving everything that you needed without having to do anything, right? Because we live in this culture where we think we have to produce, right? We have to produce in order to earn, in order to receive. And that's just a false belief, right? It's a limiting belief that we were just conditioned into when we were young, and we can undo that, right? Because again, it's not true. Now, yes, maybe you want to sh share your gifts with the world or do some meaningful work in the world where you receive your income from, and great. Um, but just, I want everybody to come into that feeling, that inherent worthiness of who they are. Like, you are a child of God, right? You are so important. You are so important, and you're unique, and you're amazing, and you're magnificent. So sometimes too, when we use affirmations, they don't necessarily work, because if you try to say something that your mind doesn't consciously believe, your conscious mind is just going to kick it right out, right? So if you say something like, I am worthy, and you don't truly believe it, um, your conscious mind is just going to kick it right out. So I like using what if questions instead. It actually helps you kind of get into that same vibration. Or you could even say, what would it feel like to be worthy? Right? That's another way to get yourself into that vibration of feeling what it would feel like. But you could even say like, what would what if I easily expressed my worthiness, right? Or what if I easily saw my own magnificence? I like that one. Because again, I do think that we're all really magnificent. And so trying to play around with some of those things instead of affirmations, I think is really helpful. And I can't emphasize this enough, just the best way to overcome any type of self-sabotage or upper limiting behavior is through awareness. And awareness only comes in the present moment. And you don't have to like analyze your behaviors. You don't have to be like, oh, well, I'm doing this because like my mom never gave me love and I feel like this, or whatever the story is. Like, don't go into the story. Just catch yourself in the present moment and go from your head down to your heart and just ask yourself, who do I want to be in this moment? Who do I want to be in this moment? And that is such a powerful thing that you can do to help shift your behavior. Um, yeah. Again, when I think about when for me, when I go into a lot of like if I do something that where I'll eat a piece of cake or something, and then I get mad at myself because I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be eating this. But it's a vicious cycle, right? Because you're then shaming yourself for not doing those things. And shame is the densest, lowest human emotion that you can be in. And exact opposite of shame and guilt are the exact opposite of how God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, sees us, right? Because they see us as a magnificent creation. And when we're in that really low vibration, it doesn't serve anybody actually, even yourself, because obviously, like, you're putting yourself in, you think that using that type of self-talk or behavior is going to motivate you, but it doesn't. It actually just kind of keeps you stuck in that low vibration. And when you're in that low vibration, nothing, your energy is contracted, your body is out of balance. And so you just want to remember, if you catch yourself in those moments, to see yourself the way God sees you, right? To see yourself through God's eyes. Now, I know the word God can be really charged for some people, especially if like you grew up in a certain religion, like I did, and I thought God was a big man in the sky judging me. And that could not be further from the truth, right? There is no judgment. We live in a compassionate, loving universe that's always trying to support us. And know that if you fell off and you ate that piece of cake, or you pressed the snooze button, or maybe did something that was out of your integrity, that you're still loved, you're still worthy, and you will have another opportunity to make another decision, right? So you'll have another opportunity to choose who you want to be in another now moment. Right. And that is actually how much you're loved, that you're just going to keep continuing to get these other opportunities to choose the person that you want to be and to be in integrity with that love that you are. Right. And so just keep that in mind as you kind of go into that shame cycle. If you beat yourself up about things, or if you say to yourself, oh, I'm never good at that, or I never follow up on that, or why don't I do these things? It just is like this downward spiral. And sometimes we don't even realize that that's the self-talk going on in our mind, right? We have like 60,000 thoughts per day running through here. And the stat is that like something like 90% of them are the same as we had the day before, and 70% of them are negative, right? That's so wild. So we're just wired for that negativity. So the more we can become present to what's going on in there and realize that we are not our thoughts, right? Oftentimes that voice that's in your head is not yours, it's a program. Maybe it's your father's voice that was hard on you growing up, or a teacher that always told you that, you were no good or whatever. So it might not even be your voice. So just notice and be like, oh, okay, I see that now. Right. And again, bring the energy down to your heart space, um, and come into the present moment. And try using some of those affirmations. Like, what if I easily saw my magnificence? What would it feel like to be really worthy? Um, what we give our attention to is what we give our precious life force energy to. I actually thought this was really interesting. I'll share with you guys. I was on a call with one of my teachers, and she was saying how we are voting, because everyone's been talking about the election, obviously. We are voting every day with our attention. We're voting every day with our attention. And so oftentimes we're giving so much attention to the candidate that we don't like, right? And you're voting with that. And I think it's actually like, has anyone ever, if you ever watched the movie The Secret, Tim, I know you have, I love that movie. I highly recommend it. My mentor, Bob Proctor's in it. But in the movie The Secret, they say that oftentimes the candidate who people hate the most gets elected because he's getting so much attention, so much energy, right? He or she. Um, because we're voting with our attention. And so keep that in mind. What are you placing your attention on every day? Right? It might be that you're placing your attention on things about yourself that you don't like, on your past, on your problems, right? And by doing that, you're you're actually bringing more of that into your life, more into your awareness. Because what we focus on expands in our own awareness, right? And so our attention is precious. Our attention really is precious. And, I'm learning right now, even with like this situation that I'm going through, it's it's hard not to place our focus on our problems, right? But I know that what I place my focus on, it expands. So when I catch myself doing that, I just shift my focus and be like, okay, what would I prefer instead? What do I want to be experiencing? I want to be experiencing peace. I want to be experiencing harmony, joy, right? And then getting myself, what would it feel like to be experiencing those things right now? And getting myself into that state. And then really trusting that everything that is happening for a reason, right? For your own good. Maybe you're being challenged by something because it's bringing you to new levels of your own power, right? Or just calling you to really step up to this new version of you. So I just want you all to like play with this, right? And about that you are already perfect. You're whole, you're complete, you're amazing and magnificent exactly as you are. But the universe is so loving and so compassionate. It's always giving you another another reason to expand, right? Um, yep, no problem, Patrice. um, yeah, it's always giving us another opportunity to deepen into love, right? And to deepen into the person that we want to be. Um, cool. Well, I'd love to walk you all through a little meditation if that works.
Yeah.
Um, ooh, Mike, you kind of broke up. What'd you say?
I said, yes, please.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, feel free to shut your camera off if you want to do that and close down your eyes and take a big deep breath in through your nose and sigh it out, thinking the word release. Take another big deep breath in through your nose. And exhale, thinking the word release. One more of those. A big deep breath in. And exhale as long as you possibly can, all of the air out. And now just do a little body scan, getting rid of any tension that you're holding from the top of your head, from your eyebrows, around your eyes, around your ears, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders and upper back, chest, all the way down your arms to the tips of your fingers, down your chest and abdomen, your lower back and hips. Just notice any tension and let it go, giving your body the signal to totally relax. Your thighs, your knees, calves, down to the tips of your toes. And now I want to take you back, 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 back into your mother's womb, where you were just this little ray of light, growing and being nourished, not having to do anything at all to attract everything that you needed to survive and thrive. You were embraced in love, and everything that you needed came to you easily. And then it was scary, but you ventured into the unknown. And you came into this world, this little perfect baby. The people in your life were so excited. There was so much love. And again, you attracted everything that you needed: the love, the affection, the food, the stimulation to not just survive, but truly thrive. Feel that. Feel how you are magnificent and so, so very loved. Bask in that. And now here you are today, also beautiful, magnificent, and so, so loved. Receive that love. Receive all the goodness that life has to offer you. You are perfectly imperfect. It doesn't matter your size or shape or what you look like. You are worthy of everything. Everything you desire. Now I want you to see an image of yourself in front of you on a screen in front of you. And this is your future self, your highest version of yourself, who you want to be. How does this person act? Maybe they know their infinite worthiness. They move through life with ease and grace, knowing that they're so loved, so supported. They're calm, compassionate, and just an overall badass in life. Not because they're perfect, just because they know how magnificent they truly are. How do other people respond to them? Maybe there's a lot of smiles, always smiling back at them. applause, handshakes, hugs. And they're able to take it all in and receive it all. Again, not because they're perfect, not because they produce more, but just because of who they are. Now this version steps out of the screen and comes and walks around you and merges with you. This is you. You are them. The amazing, magnificent person that's able to receive all of the goodness of life. When you go about your day, look for evidence that you are that person, that you're supported, loved. The way that people respond to you, that is you. And when you're ready, take some deep breaths, no rush. Start wiggling your toes. And coming back to this present moment. And slowly blink your eyes open. How was that? Good. Cool. Any questions or thoughts, comments about this topic?
Are there other forms of sabotage?
Yeah, the way we sabotage ourselves, for sure. There's endless amounts, right? Not doing the things that you know will get you to your goal, or yeah, having an inspired idea and not acting upon it. Um, having opportunities that pass you by. I mean, there's an endless amount of ways, right? Um, and everybody's different too. Bye, Chris. Thanks for coming. Yep, no worries, Mike. Yeah, there's like an endless amount of ways that we sabotage ourselves, but it's just about, again, being present in the moment and seeing the ways that you do. I actually even think the negative self-talk is a way we sabotage ourselves, right? It keeps us in a low vibration, it keeps us small. So just paying attention. Awareness is huge. Thanks for the question. So play with this in your life, right? Where you just ask yourself in every moment, who do I want to be? Right? Who do I want to be in this meeting? Who do I want to be driving home from work? Right? I want to be calm in the car, right? Who do I want to be when I go home for the holidays to see my family? Who do I want to be in this moment? It really is just something that you can ask yourself in every moment to shift who you're showing up as. And then soon, like, you will be that person naturally. So I just say, use that as your new mantra. Who do I want to be? Appreciate you all for being here.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Adrian.
Yeah. Have a great week. Bye.